I've spoken often about our economic system and how it is laid out. I've spoken about the flaws within our economic system that are flaws not by some accident, but by design. I've showed many times that what we are designed to do is to keep a particular sect in this country, a particular group, a particular percentage in economic bondage. And it goes over people's heads often as like, you're just being negative. I want you to listen to this report. Remember, we had the employment rate, or the number of people that got hired was greater than expected. We still have high inflation, mostly based on gorging by the wealthy, gorging by the plutocracy. But somehow we remain indoctrinated into believing that somehow this is just how things are. Somehow, this is just how things are supposed to be. Listen to this. And this seems like a pretty benign report, but there's a lot that underlies it. I want you to listen.
Jobs soar as Americans shop amid high inflation. NBC's Tom Costello has the latest on the better than expected November jobs report.
Further evidence that good news for Main Street, more jobs, isn't always good news for Wall Street or the Federal Reserve. The government reports 263,000 jobs were added in November, far more than expected. The biggest gains were in leisure, hospitality, healthcare, government, and construction. Unemployment still near 50-year lows, but with more jobs than workers to fill them, wages jumped 5.1% year over year. And that's the catch.
Yeah, this is a hot number. It gives the Fed permission to keep increasing interest rates.
While higher wages help families partially offset 40-year high inflation, bigger paychecks only make the inflation worse. Trying to tamp down inflation, the Federal Reserve has raised interest rates 6 times this year. Now it will likely have to keep raising rates this month and into the new year, potentially sending mortgages, loans, and credit card costs even higher. The Fed chairman making it clear this week the tight labor market is a problem.
So this is a great labor market in that sense. It's too great in a way because it's going to be adding to inflation.
At the bookseller in Chicago, owner Susie Takacs is paying more for everything.
It costs more for employees to pay for food and for rent and for whatever things they enjoy too. So if you want staff in your store, you have to be able to pay them.
Meanwhile, the country appears to have dodged an economic bullet or freight train after President Biden signed a law today imposing a new contract on railroads and workers to avert a crippling rail strike. Today, the president was taking a victory lap.
Americans are working, the economy is growing, wages are rising faster than inflation, and we've avoided a catastrophic rail strike.
So here's the first thing that grabbed me on the report. Good news for Main Street isn't always good news for Wall Street or the Federal Reserve. What the hell does that mean? That people getting jobs, etc. Somehow now Wall Street goes crazy because, oh my God, based on our economic model, if a lot of people are working, if a lot of people have money, the rates of the price of everything is going to go up. That's the teachings that you get. Forgetting that previous to the gouging by the plutocracy, even as we deficit spending and did all of this, prices didn't go up because you know what is required for prices to really go up in a true orthodox supply and demand system? What has to happen is that you have to have shortages. But guess what? For most of the things that America needs, there aren't shortages. There's not shortages in petroleum. There are not shortages in food if we really want it, right? Now, we have always created in our economic system false shortages, like not allowing enough milk to get on the land or paying farmers not to grow as much as they can, etc. So remember, our system is predicated on creating shortages for high prices to keep a few wealthy. You think I'm kidding? Here's what they say. More jobs than workers to fill cause wage increases. True. But you have to ask yourself the other question, right? We have a border problem with a lot of people coming over the border. Well, let's wait on that before, because there's another thing they said. Bigger paychecks makes inflation worse. All these are tenets they throw into your heads, right? Justify increasing prices solely because people have more money. In other words, we are going to take all the money you have. You got a stimulus check. You know what we're going to do? Even if there's not shortages in gasoline, we're going to charge you more. Even if there's not shortages in corn, we're going to charge you more. Even if there's not shortages of fertilizers, where in your locale, we are going to charge you more. Again, the psychology of teaching you these fallacies about supply and demand. There is a supply-demand issue that can cause the rise in prices if there are shortages or if there are manufactured shortages, which is what we do. Create a whole lot of manufactured shortages. Even this stuff about employment is a manufactured shortage. There are a lot of people ready to work in America right now, right at the border, right all over, ready to work. So what's their solution, however? Instead of bringing more workers in so that we can make sure that we have ample supply of products being created to mitigate any inflation, what we say, oh, no, we're just going to penalize those that are here now. So we're going to raise interest rates on them. And who does that hurt? It hurts the people who had to depend on credit anyhow. The people that least need to pay more are the ones who are most going to affect it. You have a mortgage, you're going to pay us more. You have a credit card debt, you're going to pay us more. And where is that money going to go again? Oh, well, yeah, the Federal Reserve actually takes money out of the system. But here's the other kicker. When they raise their rates by 0.75%, do you think your credit card is going to raise by 0.75%? No, it gives them the option to raise the rates even much higher. And that is what we actually see. We penalize the wealthy, the owners of capital gets to make more money as this goes on. Tight labor market. We don't really have a tight labor market. There are a lot of people who want to come into this country. We could solve our problem right now by simply getting all those workers that are really running away from Venezuela, from a fraudulent type of economic system that we help manufacture. And that's another story to explain in the terms that I just did. But we go ahead, right? And have skilled workers on the borders, workers that are ready to also take care of our farms, take care of our growing, take care of industry, so that we won't, because we don't have a supply problem of raw materials, we don't have a supply problem of foods, we don't have a supply problem of all these issues, so we have a tight labor market, we have a lot of people that are ready to work. But folks, understand this. It's not about you and me. It's not about making sure you and me can have regular cheap prices or economic prices, right? That's not what it's all about. Let's understand this. This is about maintaining a certain level, maintaining a certain amount of stress in that bottom 80%. You keep them stressful. You keep them knowing that they need you. Not really so, but you know, that you've already indoctrinated them on how the economic system really works. You already indoctrinated them on what inflation really is. You already indoctrinated them on if you increase wages, somehow prices must go up. Let's start understanding economics 101. One of the reasons I write these books, from How to Make America Utopia to books like As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, isn't to be some person that is looking to raise hell. It's just so that we can understand, learn, so that we can elect folks that are going to really make the appropriate changes and not elect those whose job it is to lie to us to keep a few in charge, to keep a few stealing our wealth, to keep a few with their unearned income. This is not a joke. You know why they don't want you educated? Do you know why they don't want you thinking critically? If you started thinking critically, you'll start asking questions. You'll start asking why. Why do we pay for all the mistakes that the plutocracy makes. Supply chain, throwing jobs overseas, pandemic comes, it screws it all up. Just-in-time inventory, pandemic comes, screws it all up. Their fault. And then they say, you pay. And when there are any time implied shortages that they created, you pay. This is not an accident, folks. Let's unlearn the lies that's been taught through the inception of this country on certain parts of our economic system. And let's start educating ourselves. Let's start. And then let's make a difference. And let's elect those who will tell you the truth and will do the right thing by you. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.